Hello, my name is Anna and I work for the nonprofit Clean Energy Group, and in today's presentation we'll be covering the role of technical assistance in solar development. We will be covering the importance of technical assistance, what support is provided through technical assistance, and common questions that communities may have about developing solar. So the first question, why engage a technical assistance provider? We often find that community organizations, small businesses, and municipalities could benefit from installing solar, but they don't have the existing knowledge or expertise, nor the capacity to explore its potential for their facility. That's when a third-party expert could provide insight about the project's feasibility and the specific opportunities and challenges that a site may have when wanting to install solar. So how are technical assistance providers different from installers? Technical assistance providers focus on pre-development support. They can provide a vendor-agnostic view of what solar technology should be used at a specific facility. Vendor-agnostic means that they're not catering to a specific solar manufacturer. In the report, they'll be covering the benefits of installing solar, both environmental and economic. Installers can also provide pre-development support, but their focus is usually on installation. Their reports are also not often vendor agnostic. So what are a few other benefits of working with a technical assistance provider? They're a trusted third-party resource. They have experience working with communities and translating the technical information into something that's easily digestible. And by working with a technical assistance provider, communities can build capacity and knowledge about solar as a technology. Now we are going to cover a few commonly asked questions from communities as they are developing solar. And the first one, and maybe most frequently asked, is how much would all of this cost? A technical assistance provider should provide the upfront cost to install the system, including how much the equipment costs and labor costs for installation. They should also provide anticipated costs for annual operations and maintenance, as well as how much it would cost to replace the inverters. Typically, system owners are recommended to replace their inverters around year 16, so having this cost estimated upfront and provided in the 20-year pro forma is helpful for communities as they plan if and when they want to replace the inverters of their solar array. How do you size a solar system for your facility? Well, you need to consider space restrictions on your roof, and if there's anything else on your roof that's preventing solar from being installed or being installed in certain places on the roof. You also need to consider historical regulations that may prevent solar from being seen from certain angles. And lastly, you want to size your solar array to optimize any utility savings. Speaking of savings, a technical assistance provider should consider what federal, state, and utility incentive programs that a project may be eligible for. The renewable energy credits is a way of tracking the environmental benefit of your solar array. You can choose to sell your renewable energy credit if you want and receive that economic benefit. You also have the option of participating in net metering, which is essentially when excess solar production that your facility is not able to use above and beyond what your facility is using is exported back on the grid, and then you receive a bill credit on your electric utility bill at the end of the month representing the amount of power that you exported back to the grid. Lastly, as an example that we're sharing here is the Federal Investment Tax Credit, which currently enables community projects to receive back typically about 30% of eligible costs, eligible installation costs. For some utility scale projects, that could be lower if they do not meet prevailing wage requirements. And you can, in certain cases, apply for additional bonus credits to get even more than 30% back. A few more questions. How can I fund the solar system? So of course you can own the system outright through direct ownership, whether you have received a grant for your project, whether you have crowdfunded the funding, or whether you have the funding existing elsewhere that you're able to pay for the system outright. You can also take out a loan for part or all of the costs of the system. Or lastly, you can engage a third party who would own and manage the system. that would be in a lease or power purchase agreement model. In a lease or PPA, the third party owns and manages the system and tracks operations and maintenance and pays for that through the term of the lease or PPA. Usually leases and PPAs are between 10 and 25 years long, and then at the end of that term, typically ownership of the solar array transfers back to the community facility to be able to continue using it through the rest of its productive lifespan. Technical assistance providers should be familiar with all the different options for folks as they look at how they want to fund their system, opportunities, challenges, and the breakdown of what financially makes the most sense for them. When considering a solar array, you may be looking at how this benefits us environmentally. Of course, it's going to reduce emissions. Installing solar can also help move your organization towards any net zero energy goals if you have them. And lastly, when considering solar, you may be wondering, how long will this last? So as I've already said in a couple other of these questions, a solar array can be productive for over 20 years. And at the end of its life, you need to consider recycling options. If they want to replace the solar panel, what that looks like. A technical assistance provider should be familiar with what is currently available, but we should also know that 20, 25, 30 years in the future, when folks need to replace or recycle their systems, there should be more options available. When pursuing a solar project, we encourage folks to approach that project holistically. And what I mean by that is when you're looking at solar, you need to consider if you also want to install carport solar over a parking lot, or if there's an open space nearby, installing ground-mounted solar. If you are looking at rooftop solar, you need to consider what the roof's condition is, if it needs repairs or replacement before the solar system can be installed. We also encourage folks to think about if they want to pursue decarbonization, or if they're already pursuing decarbonization measures, because a technical assistance provider will look at that and size the solar system appropriately for your current energy needs, or if you're planning to pursue decarbonization, your future energy needs. So if a building is pursuing weatherization, implementing energy efficiency measures, or if they are switching out gas-fired equipment for electric equipment, such as gas stoves or electric heat pumps, all of that needs to be considered when you are pursuing a solar array. Solar can also be installed with other technologies. So for example, folks may want to install an electric vehicle EV charger at the same time as they're pursuing solar. Again, electric vehicle chargers are a new electrical load, so you may want to size your solar system larger to be able to cover some of that additional electrical load, and consider that essentially when sizing your solar system. You can also pair a solar system with a fossil fuel generator or battery storage system. Both generators and battery storage systems provide a reliable source of backup power in the event of an outage. A generator works normally, as it would, and a battery storage system actually gets refueled by the solar array in the event of an outage. So, as I said, you can incorporate battery storage into a solar array, and it provides what we call valuable grid services, which can provide an economic benefit for a facility depending on how the utility treats battery storage. And it can also, more importantly, probably for the facility itself, be able to provide a reliable source of backup power in the event of an outage. So if folks are considering battery storage, here are a couple common questions that they may ask. The first one is, how much backup power can I receive from a battery storage system? How long can it power my building during an outage? And that typically depends on whether they want to back up the entire building, all of their electrical loads, or if they want to focus on critical loads. If you back up the entire building, it's usually going to be for a shorter amount of time. But if you're focusing on critical loads, lighting, electrical outlets, maybe your HVAC system, then you can usually extend the amount of time that the battery is able to provide power for. As I had already said, you can add battery storage to a solar array. It can be paired together, and you can pair it with an existing solar array, although there are sometimes certain technical challenges with the inverter and other pieces of the solar system that need to be updated or changed out, or at least considered when wanting to add it to an existing solar array. And lastly, can you use a battery storage system with a generator? And the answer is yes. You can use both technologies together to be able to provide more longer resilience, redundant resilience. So, as I said earlier in the presentation, I work at the nonprofit Clean Energy Group, and as a part of our organization's work, we host the Technical Assistance Fund, which provides pre-development support for community-led solar plus storage projects, solar and battery storage projects, for communities that are interested in pursuing energy resilience. And over the last 11 years, we've been able to provide funding for over 200 community service partners to explore what solar and battery storage can look like at 380 community facilities. We work with experienced technical engineers who are able to provide what we call a techno-economic feasibility assessment, which essentially goes through the economic benefits, environmental benefits, and resilience goals of a facility and what solar plus storage could do at a specific site. Here are a couple examples of projects who have received technical assistance support with us and then have gone on to install solar and battery storage. So for example, the California Indian Museum and Cultural Center installed solar plus storage last year, and now they are backing up critical loads, including an air filtration system, the kitchen, and community area for 3 days. The Petersburg Resilience Hub over in Virginia also installed solar plus storage last year, and now they have critical load backup again for 3 days, and they also now experience frequent $0 monthly electric bills, which is amazing. On the left-hand side of the screen there, I have a screenshot of our website. We have a number of other examples of folks that have received pre-development support and then have gone on to install both solar and battery storage, talking about the process for project development and what kind of, the benefits that they're now experience from having solar plus storage. I also wanted to highlight how impactful pre-development support can be towards project development. So we found that every $100 we've invested in pre-development support, communities have been able to leverage that to be able to receive an additional $12,000 in external capital, which supports actually buying the solar and battery storage equipment needed for their facility to build resilience. So again, every $100 is leveraged to receive over $12,000 in additional external capital, which is just amazing to see, and again, just a testament to how technical assistance can really kickstart project development and support communities. So through this presentation, I hope that you've been able to learn more about the role of technical assistance providers, including why technical assistance is important, how technical assistance differs from the work of installers. We've also covered common questions during the pre-development process, including additional project development considerations, like whether and when to pursue energy efficiency upgrades or add a battery storage system. And that concludes this presentation of what the role of technical assistance in solar development is.